Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Woodruff, Commissioner Simmons, Commissioner Slater Harrington, and I'm in favor. This motion passes. I will now proudly turn over to Lisa for CEO comments.
Thank you very much, Chair Sally. Before I get started, I'm going to invite Chief Emily Nielsen forward this evening for the PEP agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Good evening, commissioners. Try this one instead. We have a very short PEP tonight, but if this new hire is joining us, well, I guess I don't think he's here in person, and virtually we can't do that any longer, but we'll recognize him at some point when he joins. From the Office of the Chief Financial Officer and Appointment, recommended that Russell Bateman Buckley, currently Senior Advisor to the Chief Financial Officer, New York City Department of Education, be appointed Director Budget effective March 21st, 2026. Congratulations to tonight's PEP.
Thank you, Chief Nielsen. I'm going to ask you to stay right there at the table. Thank you. I am proud to announce that on February 4th, Chief Nielsen received the 2026 Distinguished Service Award from the Council of Great City Schools and Kelly Education at the annual Chief Human Resources Officers meeting in Nashville, Tennessee. As stated during the presentation of her award, Emily Nielsen represents the visionary leadership that transforms urban school districts from within. Her remarkable achievements in improving hiring outcomes, streamlining processes, and building collaborative networks demonstrate how strategic human capital management can create lasting positive impact for students, educators, and entire communities. All of us at Baltimore City Public Schools are incredibly proud, and we knew all of that already, but we truly are pleased that Emily's hard work and dedicated commitment to our schools, staff, and students has been recognized by her peers across the United States. Chief Nielsen, please come forward so we can present you with your own certificate of achievement.
This is Alex Donahue with the Maryland Interagency Commission on School Construction. Please leave me your name, number, and a message.
All right, I'm going to have a seat. So could we get one more round of applause for Chief Nielsen? Woo, 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 woo. At our last board meeting, I shared that on January 27th, MSD, the Maryland State Department of Education, released the results for the first year of the new Maryland Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, KRA. This assessment showed that city schools pre-K students are better prepared for kindergarten, literacy, and math than students coming from prior care settings outside of city schools. As promised, this evening, I am pleased to call upon Chief Achievement and Accountability Officer, Teresa Jones, Chief Academic Officer, Joan Dabrowski, and Executive Director of Early Learning, Crystal, is Crystal going to be? Oh, wonderful. And Crystal Francis, to review the results of our youngest students in more detail. And I will turn it over to them.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Yes, testing. All right, and I think we're going to be able to bring Crystal on to join us on Teams. And Mr. Kennedy can pull up our presentation. That would be great. Excellent. Should we go ahead and get started? Yeah, we'll go. All right, so we'll hope that Crystal will join us momentarily here. So good evening, Dr. Santelises, Chair Sally, Vice Chair Parker, board members, and the public. I'm Joan Dabrowski, Chief Academic Officer. I'm joined by my colleagues, Chief Teresa Jones and Crystal Francis will be joining us in just a moment. We're pleased to be able to share with the board and the public tonight our most recent data from the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment. So just a quick, if we go to the next slide, a quick reminder of what kindergarten readiness is and why it matters. What we are able to do with this assessment, I'll just hold for a second while we see if we can get to the next slide. I see the arrow moving.
I apologize, it's not advancing for some.
Can you click on the little arrow at the bottom?
Try it one more time.
Try the arrow underneath the date. A little, click that, try to see if that looks like you. All right, page down.
For some reason, it's not advancing.
Can you try page down? Can you?
We try emailing it to somebody on the board.
That's what I'm wondering. Yep.
To Yusuf or Dawana.
I will send this to Tanisha.
Yes.
Oh. The public won't be able to see what the board has.
Once I receive it, we'll project it.
Okay. Apologies for the delay.
Tanisha, you should have it.
Thank you. I do see the email. The file is not letting me open it.
Right, it's on the website. Let me pull it.
Yeah, while we're waiting, I can at least go so that we are maximizing our time. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, so yeah, well, while we're maximizing our time. So the other piece, or which was going to be my last piece today, is I want everyone to know that we are also addressing the use of technology in our pre-K 2 classrooms. We're looking at the use of technology across our district. I'll draw attention to the fact that there are an increasing number of studies that are coming forth about the use of educational technology, the deleterious impact on student attention, on student achievement for extended periods of time. We are reviewing usage pre-K through 12, but we are beginning with a deep look at our youngest learners. We really do want our youngest students to have a foundation that is really built on rich, in-person, hands-on experiences, very literature-rich, reading real texts, exploring mathematics concepts. And while we understand that technology does remain a tool, some of that research that I mentioned, which we'll be happy to forward and later post, really necessitate us to take a deep look, particularly at pre-K through 2. So specifically, we do know this, that our youngest learners need less time on our devices, and we're moving to reduce daily screen time within classrooms. So for pre-K, City Schools will continue its current approach of a device-free pre-K learning. No student devices will be in these classrooms. Teachers will use devices to record their own lessons, observations of students, but we will continue to have a device-free pre-K classroom environment. In grades K through 2, the number of devices in classrooms will be reduced. We had previously been pursuing pretty vigorously a 1-to-1 device to student ratio in these grades, and that is no longer the case. We will be rolling back for 1 device per 3 students, and we will also be releasing the new guidance and direction to schools around reduced maximum times within those grade levels. In kindergarten and grade 1, students will spend no more than 15 minutes on devices each day, maximum. In grade 2, students will spend no more than 20 minutes on devices each day. And then time on devices, I think we should also emphasize, will primarily focus on literacy and math interventions that are aligned to our core programs. So this will be a shift for schools in that we will no longer be allowing kind of the mass purchase of different programs. They must be the district programs that are approved, that are aligned, and frankly will be minimal. So my charge to principal supervisors, the finance team, and others is where those programs are being incorporated in people's budgets and purchased. Those will now need to be flagged and will be denied. So that is the first round. I'm going to take a look at the other recommendations for grades 3 through 8. But I think that the important message to our community is that we are part of the movement to make sure that our young people are actually spending their time in classroom on the activities that actually further learning. We will be continuing our 1-to-1 in grades 3 through 5 primarily because in discussion with the team, the Maryland State Department of Education continues to utilize a device-based state assessment system. So even though I wanted to move away from that for those grades, because we don't want our students to be at a disadvantage, we will still maintain 1-to-1 in those grade levels, but schools, parents, and young people should pay attention to the reduced screen time there. And I will also say that I do implore the state to also look at their directions. That we have whole countries that are rolling back, like Denmark, who are basically rolling back their investments in pre-K through 12 device use during the school day. We know, for example, that Black and brown children in a lot of early observations of the use of technology in school are spending anywhere from 3 to 5 times more time in front of screens as opposed to enriched learning opportunities. So I did want to begin that announcement tonight. You will see it within our budget guidance, and we will continue to be far more restrictive in what technology is allowed and approved for classrooms. All right, so with that, we will now shift back. Are we ready for KRA?
We're ready for
Absolutely.
KRA.
And
Thank
I
you
mean,
for
great
that.
Intro.
Perfect.
So we're
Well,
gonna move right in.
and into our update on our device-free pre-K work that has led to wonderful kindergarten readiness. So I think it is a complimentary message here. So we can go ahead to that very first slide and go ahead and scroll forward. Thank you so much. So again, kindergarten readiness is an assessment that we provide, that we administer to our kindergartners at the very beginning of the school year. This year, we do have a new assessment. So this is going to look like a little bit different than in previous years, but the news still is consistent with the prior version of the KRA. But to just back up a moment, KRA looks at early literacy and math skills, and it also has a screener that looks at social, academic, and emotional behaviors, and that's through more of a teacher observation. So in this new version of the KRA that you see there on that red section, they're using a platform called STAR, so STAR Early Literacy and STAR Math. Again, short assessments done right at the beginning of the school year. And then this tool called SABRE, Social, Academic, Emotional Behaviors Risk Screener. And that is a 19-item teacher analysis that they do, that they sort of survey for each student. So the why we do this is that this gives us really important data early on about our youngest learners and helps us to understand their strengths and the areas where they may need more support. It also signals where we may need to do some intervention work. So when we think about multi-tiered systems of supports, that's just having layers of opportunities for where we can intervene early to support learning. And again, these results are new for us because this is a new assessment. So we've got a new baseline that we're starting with. So if we go ahead and move to that next slide, the highlight or the headline is one that I've been lucky to share in previous years, which is students who attend city schools pre-K are better prepared for kindergarten than those who attend other prior care settings. And this is just really terrific news for us to celebrate and affirms the great work that's been going on in pre-K for years in Baltimore City, prior to the blueprint, prior to Pillar 1, all of those good things. Baltimore City Schools has always been at the forefront of the work of providing robust early learning opportunities. And again, the data continues to show just that. Again, better prepared for kindergarten literacy and math than coming from other prior care settings outside of city schools. Not just a holistic, we looked at particular student groups. Again, this one was important for us because we wanted to see how they did in comparison to their state peers. And when we looked at economically disadvantaged students, Hispanic and multilingual students, they all outperformed their peers in the state in that kindergarten literacy and math. And again, I think these are just really good signals for us to know that the work we're doing, the work we've been investing in, is serving our students quite well. I think the piece also that was important for us is the screener around the social, academic, and emotional behavior. That also showed that the students who, again, attended our pre-K are at lower risk. So you can see more of them come prepared at that 78.9%, prepared to succeed compared to their peers at 69%. So again, very, very positive data about the great work that's happening in our pre-K that's getting those children ready for kindergarten. I'm going to now turn it over to my colleague, Chief Teresa Jones, who's going to go, I'm going to go one more here. So this just breaks down the results in a nice, clean set of bar graphs. So what I want to show here is the dark navy blue. That's our city schools pre-K kiddos. So you can see the early literacy English, the early literacy Spanish, and the math, which is what we're noting there, the performance really outperforming those other groups. The next line over is other prior care. Again, that's that darker blue. The next lighter blue is city schools overall. So all of our kindergartners, regardless of what prior care. And you can see then the yellow represents the state of Maryland. So there are places where if you look at our early literacy work in Spanish, where all of our students are outperforming the state of Maryland. So there are some places there where we also see some really exciting opportunities for all of our students. But what, again, just draw your eyes to that navy blue star, those are our pre-K students. And that is something to just note and to celebrate tonight. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Chief Teresa Jones, who's going to go a little bit further into the data.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dabrowski. Let's move to the next slide, please. First, we're going to do a little review of our early literacy English results. So if we can move to the next slide. So within each of these sections, we're going to do a quick overview around how those categories, the performance levels break down as relates to our city schools pre-K students versus these other settings. We have highlighted for you here on the left that you can see again that 50.8% for our city schools pre-K students. And then you can also see the distribution of students that were also scoring in the developing and the beginning categories. Again, reinforcing the point that Dr. Dabrowski just made. Next slide. Within each of these sections, we then see the direct comparisons versus peer groups by student group. So here again, while we've highlighted some of the student groups where we saw consistent overperformance versus peers across the state, you can see what that looks like for each of our categories noted here for our early literacy and English results. And that's based on the determination that they were established as it relates to those kindergarten readiness skills. So that is a brief overview for early literacy in English. Next slide, please. This next section is new. Next slide, please. To the extent that the current kindergarten readiness suite of assessments has not previously included a Spanish language literacy component. And so I'm going to do just a brief overview around what this particular assessment is intended to tell us. So just like we just reviewed early literacy in English, we now have available to us an early literacy Spanish assessment, which helps us understand how those students that are coming from settings where their home language is Spanish or they're participating in dual language or bilingual programs where they're getting their instruction primarily in Spanish, how well those students are in building their language literacy skills. So when we take a look at these results, a couple of things to keep in mind. First, the students are assessed in English as well as being assessed in Spanish. So we kind of get the opportunity to sort of see how they're doing within those two different types of language acquisitions. And then again, specifically, this is about literacy development in Spanish. This is not the equivalent of English proficiency. So we want to be very clear about that. One of the things that is also very encouraging about this, considering the investments that we've made, is that we are seeing across the board by student group where these students are actually outperforming their peers, regardless of what their student demographic is. So we'll see that in just a moment. Next slide. So again, this just gives us the overall picture. You can see the breakdown here in terms of the three categories, established, developing, and beginning. Again, the 61.1% here. Also noting that that is higher than what you'll note for the state of Maryland on the far right, where we have 61.1% of our pre-K students that are established versus 50.3% statewide. So certainly a highlight for Baltimore City. Next slide. And here again, this is the point I was making earlier. If you take a look at our blue bars there, by student group, you'll notice those are all higher than the yellow bars, which represent the state of Maryland. So when we take a look at peer group comparisons for our Hispanic and Latino students, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, and economically disadvantaged students, our students are outperforming their peers statewide. Next slide, please. Now we're going to take a look at the third of the assessments within the suite. And this is for mathematics. Next slide, please. So with mathematics, again, there you can see the 52.1% for our pre-K students and their readiness and for the established categories. And you can see the other two categories there as well. Next slide, please. And here again, here is our student group comparisons. So again, you can see where there are a number of student groups noted here, where those blue bars are a little bit higher than what you see for the state. And so we also want to acknowledge those performance numbers as well. At this time, I am going to turn it over to our colleague, Crystal Francis, if she's available, to share with us the results from the risk screener.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, I am here. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Crystal Francis, the Executive Director for Early Learning. Next slide. So this year we did the SABRS assessment, which is a social emotional behavioral risk screener. This is obviously new to us, as were the other parts of the KRA, but this is really designed to assess risk for students and to demonstrate and see what their readiness is as they are prepared to learn. Next slide. So over here on the left, you will see our score for our students who are in our city schools pre-K. 78.9% demonstrated low risk. So when we are reading and interpreting this score, the lower risk is actually the category where we want to see the high number. So we do have about 4.6% of our students who are high risk. But again, we're happy to see that most of our students are demonstrating low risk, which again shows us that our students are ready and prepared to learn emotionally, academically, and socially. Next slide. So what is driving our results? And again, as Dr. Dabrowski said, we have for the last couple of years been able to really highlight the work that is happening in our pre-K classrooms. As we shared with you all previously, we have a comprehensive high quality instructional material that we adopted last school year. You will see Fanny Frog there, but it is inclusive of all of our core subjects and really highlights the social emotional work that we want to see for our pre-K students. And utilizing conscious discipline, which is familiar to many of us. We also have real-time assessment, so our teachers are able to assess our students on a weekly basis. And by assessing them on this very regular basis, we're able to make real-time adjustments based on the things that we are seeing for our students. And when it comes to grouping and being able to put kiddos together. Next slide. We also, as Chief Jones highlighted, have a lot of proactive supports for our multilingual learners. So I really want to shout out our MLL team with Director Maria Remore. This team has supported us in pre-K before it was even required by the state of Maryland. But in doing so and in providing those services for our students in pre-K, we have done joint and collaborative professional learning. They've been really great partners. A lot of what goes into a strong multilingual success is around early literacy, early reading, that phonemic awareness. And that's also things that are important for our early learners. So we pair very well together, but that's why we believe we're seeing the really great results when it comes to our students, our multilingual learners. Additionally, focusing on inclusion, we have been prioritizing and making sure that we are doing the best we can to support all of our learners and our students with disabilities, our students who learn differently in their least restrictive environment. So as best we can, supporting them in that general education classroom. Next slide. So our continued focus for next year, as you heard Chief Dabrowski talk about, was the multi-tiered systems of supports. Again, this is really just about kind of figuring out where students are and making sure that we are meeting their needs. And we hope to be able to meet their needs as best as possible in their traditional and in their general education pre-K classrooms. But it really is about providing those supports on a number of different levels for our students. And then again, just really renewing our focus on foundational literacy. These are the years where we want to make sure that we are imparting that for our students. So really tightening up that Tier 1 instruction, thinking about our small groups, read alouds, like really making sure that those are things that our students are leaving pre-K with a strong foundation in. I also wanted to highlight that our pre-K enrollment opened up this past Monday on President's Day and will be closing on Friday, April 17th. So we really want to encourage all of our littles to apply to come to what I think is the best pre-K in the state of Maryland, but I'm a little bit biased. But we also had a really wonderful launch event this past Friday with the mayor's office at Port Discovery with our community partners. So I will never miss an opportunity to shout out and to plug our pre-K. So please, family, sign up and enroll.
Thank you so much. And so as we wrap up for the last slide, we just want to acknowledge that there is additional information provided on the Maryland Report Card website. So there is a hyperlink here. And at that time, that concludes our presentation. So thank you, Dr. Santelises and Board Commissioners for the opportunity to share these results in a bit more detail this evening.
Great, thank you very much. Chief Jones, Chief Dabrowski, absolutely good to see you, Madam Francis. Executive Director Francis, thank you. And just want to thank the entire team, our early educators across the district, just for a continued trajectory up for our littlest learners. So thank you for that. And with that, Chair Sally, I will turn it back to you.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it. And I appreciate always the opportunity to review the kindergarten readiness. It shows and reflects our investment in young people here in Baltimore City, and the power that can have in terms of ensuring that our young people have a strong start, strong foundation in their academic journeys. All right, I will now review the consent agenda. Board colleagues, please let me know if you would like an item removed, and please state your question for staff. Just one moment, please. Right, thank you so much. Just appreciate that as we kind of navigate through consent. So 9.02, which is the policy GBAH, Legal Representation Risk Management Committee, second reader. Item 12.01, Riverside Insights, the Chief Academic Officer, procurement. And those are the only two items that we have tonight on the consent agenda.
Chair Sally, quick point of clarification. For GBEH, that second reader, is it a vote or no vote tonight?
That's gonna be pulled for, I'm sorry, that will be presented for vote on the consent agenda. Does that help? I'm sorry, Commissioner Coyle?
In board docs, it shows it in a no vote category. But and I guess I don't know if it needs a
Yeah, just a quick,
point of clarification on that.
Luana, do you know for GBH? Okay, just 1 second, everybody, as we kind of calibrate that.
I don't know if Chief Sivan is on and wants, I know he's going to be presenting on it.
No, I agree with you. I think it's supposed to be under the, it should be a vote item.
Okay,
The second reader, I think.
there's no vote on GBH.
I think she said that.
I'm saying it should be a vote item.
Should be
It
a-
should be a vote
Like it's
item.
a second
I think.
reader.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
second reader, so it should be a vote item.
Okay. While we confirm that, I'd like to move to public comment from our recognized groups. I'm going to turn it over to actually our vice chair to lead us through public comment.
All right, everyone. We will now move to public comment. Public comment is shared by our district's recognized groups and the general public. Representatives from our recognized groups will have the opportunity to share public comment first for 5 minutes each. Afterwards, the general public may share. First, we have Zach Taylor representing the Baltimore Teachers Union with a pre-recorded video.
Good evening. My name is Zach Taylor. Tonight, I'm going to be giving BTU's board comment. We are eager to talk about ongoing negotiations, what we're trying to do to increase retention, recruitment, morale, what we can do to boost the quality of instruction for our students. We have welcomed the increased oversight and participation that we have seen the board take in a number of areas. And we're eager to have that also be the case here when it comes to negotiations. As you all know, policy BBA, policy standards set forth that the board shall ensure city schools accountability with meeting its vision and mission. And that includes providing feedback to the CEO regarding collective bargaining negotiations. We want you to take an active role in what's going on. We've put across dozens of proposals. You can see those, they're on our website. And ideally, they're being shared with you all outside of this forum. We want to discuss in particular issues of workload. It's the top non-economic concern that we have that allows for teachers to decide whether they're going to stay or go. We know that it's key for someone ever coming here to begin with as we compete with our neighboring counties for teachers. BTU has met with management several times all throughout last year on workload issues. And while we addressed these, we were not able to come to an agreement on class size, on caseload issues, and on increased planning time. And planning time in particular is where we have fallen behind. So this is a chart of guaranteed planning time for teachers in Baltimore City schools and all of the other 5 largest counties and school systems in the state of Maryland. We're last. That's because we do not have guaranteed planning every day. Once a week, once every 5 lessons or planning periods, we lose that to collaborative planning. And we love collaborative planning. It's valuable. The problem is collaborative planning is not valuable when you're squeezing out individual planning. Teachers need routines. They needed the ability to prep lessons, to change up materials, to be ready for their students, to call parents, to check in with that student who's having a hard time. Planning time allows for all of that. It allows us to be excellent at what we do. It allows us for us to make changes. It allows us to be ready. Right now, we are the only district in the state where collaborative planning doesn't come on top of individual planning. Instead, we lose individual planning once a week, and we don't have that time to then prep. And everything gets squeezed. It throws off an entire week. And we know that city schools can do better because we already have individual schools that choose to do something different in Baltimore City schools. And if you look at this chart, sometimes you hear, well, what about Baltimore County? Their instructional day must be longer than ours. That's how they do this. They have a longer day. They don't. Their instructional day, the time that their students are actually present for class and outside of lunch or the reporting times for teachers, their instructional day is shorter than Baltimore City's. And yet they have more guaranteed planning. You can see the most in the state. Right now, we're last when it comes to all of the large districts. That's what we want to address. We want to be a place that has planning every single day. We need it. We need it to be successful, and that's what we've proposed. We're not trying to end collaborative planning. We're trying to say we need individual every day, and then collaborative happens. And that will be a more successful collaborative experience because we still have our time to get through grading, calls, changing up our lessons, making sure we're ready for students. As you know, we struggle with recruitment and retention. We rely disproportionately on conditionally certified teachers. You can see 20%, 1/5 of our school system has conditionally licensed teachers in their classrooms. Likewise, we rely heavily, more than any other place in the state, on resident teacher licenses. We also rely more than any other district in the state on international teachers because we fail to domestically recruit teachers to come here. We are losing the competition with these other school systems. We sometimes have over 10% of our teachers be recruited internationally. Meanwhile, we know that other school systems are able to do this, and it's pulling teachers away. Teachers, a very large number of Baltimore City teachers live in Baltimore County. They are actively recruited every year to go work there. And we know that our retention rate, according to the Maryland Educator Workforce Dashboard, is the lowest of these. So we're trying to address this. We look forward to your participation. We think we can get this done during the current negotiations. There are ways that many Baltimore City schools are already doing this. We need to spread that best practice. Thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you. Next, we will have Jason Green, Chair of the Parent and Community Advisory Board, PCAB, by pre-recorded video.
Good evening, Commissioners, Dr. Santelises, and the entire City Schools community. My name is Jason Green, and I'm the Chair of the Parent and Community Advisory Board, affectionately known as PCAB. Now, give me a moment while I share my screen. We have a presentation that we want to share with you this evening. Okay. And I'm sharing. Today I'm presenting our mid-year report. Now, I know when we say mid-year report, it usually sounds like the part of the meeting where everyone grabs a coffee refill, but stick with me. We've been busy, we've been working, and we have some serious data to share. First, a quick reminder of who we are. Our mission is simple. We are the bridge between families and the district. We advise on policy, we elevate community feedback, and we work to ensure that our collaboration isn't just a buzzword, but a practice. So some of our engagement activities and outreach and our partnerships. So what have we been up to? We haven't been sleeping. We've been everywhere. From the middle and high school choice fair to budget forums, we've held public sessions on everything from multi-language language analysis to the CEO search process. We also want to give a shout out to our partners. First, the Office of Communication, Engagement, Enrollment, OSCE. They've been incredible at picking up the phone when we call. And we've strengthened our ties with CCAC and the PTA. We're stronger together, and our coalition is growing. Now for the real eat your vegetables part of the work. When it comes to it, there's policy. We know it's dry, but it governs our children's lives. PCAP have submitted formal feedback on policies ranging from student discipline to curriculum and anaphylaxis. And one of our big questions for the board tonight, where does that feedback go? We don't want our recommendations just sit in the digital drawer. We're asking for a clear process to track how our family feedback is actually implemented. Now, let's talk about the big one, transportation. We launched a PCAP Family Transportation Survey because we kept hearing the same stories of concern. The survey is now closed, and the results, well, they confirm what we thought. We have participation from parents across all grade levels. And while we love the MTA, 6% of our respondents rely on it, and it's not always smooth sailing. Here's a reality check. 45% of our parents said their children do not feel safe while traveling. 55% of our families believe safety incidents aren't handled appropriately, and 66% had said that the communication is unclear or delayed. Families are adapting in expensive ways. 20% of them are using rideshare services like Uber just to get their kids to school on time. That's a parent tax we shouldn't have to pay. We need better real-time traffic tracking, safer stops, and communication that actually communicates. So what's our call to action? We aren't just complaining, we're mobilizing. We're coordinating testimony at the city and state level. We're continuing relationship building with ASCBC, the MTA, and city schools for regular check-in and align advocacy efforts. Now, in the spirit of transparency, we do have our own challenges as PCAP. We have some holes in our committees. So budget committee and charter committee, trying to get our members engaged with the busy lives and many of them working in the school system has come to be a challenge. We have amazing educators on PCAP, but they're in classrooms during the day. They can't make a 10 a.m. meeting, let's say. So we need to look at how we schedule these engagements so our teacher members aren't left out of the conversation. Here's a snapshot of what we're hearing from our families. They want accountability, confidentiality, and clear two-way communication when it comes to concerns that are shared at the school and district level. Continued transparency and consistent expectations from schools around school level budgets, and timely communication about engagement opportunities at the school level. Some of our upcoming meetings. Tomorrow night, February 19th, we're hosting our public meeting on school closures, a topic I know is on everyone's mind. In March, we're tackling attendance, and we'll be rallying in Annapolis for Blueprint Day on March 2nd. Come join us. We're fun to hang with. On April 16th, we'll be hosting our public meeting in person, and we'll share more details regarding location shortly with everyone. We'd love to see our district leadership join us. To close, we're proud of the work we've done, but we are just getting started. If you're listening to this and nodding your head, we want you to join us. We have committee seats open. We need your voice. Please visit pcabbaltimore.org and sign up for a committee. We want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to our commissioners for your time. Thank you to the families of Baltimore for trusting us with your voice. And let's have a great second half of this school year. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you. That concludes public comment for tonight. I will turn the meeting back to Chair Sally.
All right, thank you so much. So board colleagues, based upon public comment, are there any additional item board members would like to pull from consent? I just want to clarify for the record, so item 9.02, which is the policy GBEH, legal representation risk management, is up for the second reader vote tonight. So that will be official vote along with item 12.01, which is the Riverside Insights procurement. So those are the two items that will be considered on tonight's consent.
So moved? Or I guess we're at that
I
point.
guess, is there a motion?
Yes. I move.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Coy. Is there a second? Board colleagues?
Second.
I'll take Commissioner Ames Messenger. All in favor? Vice Chair Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Woodruff?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons? Commissioner Slater Harrington? And I'm in favor. This motion passes. I would now like to invite Dr. Courtney Pate up for a presentation on item 5.01 this evening, which is our anaphylaxis identification and treatment in schools work that she's been leading on behalf of Baltimore City Public Schools. So welcome.
Thank you, Board Chair. Good evening to the members of the board, as well as Dr. Santelises and the City Schools family and community. I am Dr. Courtney Pate. I have the pleasure of serving as the Bridge Director of the Office of Health and Specialized Student Services here at City Schools. I will be presenting for first reader the revisions to Board Policy JLCDB, which is our anaphylactic allergy policy. And thank you, Sarita, for driving slides for me tonight. This policy is in alignment with board priority number 4. Next slide, please. Go back a slide. Thank you. So first, I'll review the current board policy, the proposed revisions, as well as our engagement results and timeline for further engagement. Next slide. The key features of this policy is that it outlines the administration of epinephrine, procedures for identification, management, and treatment of students who have anaphylactic allergies in schools, as well as the triple AP, as we call it, which is the allergen anaphylaxis plan, as well as documentation of 911 calls. Next slide. Epinephrine in schools is a program called Epi for Schools, which is where City Schools currently gets their school-wide epinephrine stock from. These EpiPens are provided through the Baltimore City Health Department only because the program does not allow 2 different places in the same jurisdiction to get the EpiPens. So the health department orders them, gives them to us for all of our schools. And our school staff are trained on how to administer epinephrine by the school nurse. Next slide. Oh, I should highlight that we get EpiPens at no cost. They don't cost us anything. That'll be important in a minute. So why are we revising this policy? As what often happens after we write a policy, because this may seem familiar to some because we just revised JLCDB, the FDA approved the use of epinephrine nasal spray. And in our policy currently, it says EpiPen. So we had to go back and change the language with this new device that is approved to treat students who are over 66 pounds who have anaphylactic allergies. And this was based on the FDA approval. Maryland then changed their law. So now to be in alignment again with Maryland law, we have to change our policy. City Schools is not planning to move to Neffy, which is the nasal spray epinephrine, as our resource for emergency epinephrine administration, only because it has the 66-pound requirement, and we don't want people trying to figure out if Mikey weighs 66 pounds or not. However, parents will be able to use this for their children if it is approved by their provider, and that will come up later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So the proposed revision is to replace auto-injectable epinephrine with emergency use epinephrine, because then this will cover any form of emergency use epinephrine that anyone decides to make and the FDA decides to approve in the future, and we don't have to do this again. Next slide. So how will this impact school health suites? So again, if Mikey is 72 pounds and his pediatrician has gone ahead and prescribed him Neffy, then the health suite will administer Neffy to him, as well as teach the staff in his school how to give Neffy. Neffy is administered a lot like Narcan, which a lot of people are currently trained on, as well as glucagon, which we use for diabetics, has a nasal version as well. So we aren't foreign to nasal administration of medications. This is just a new medication that we have at our disposal. Next slide, please. Some other additional work that we dug into was making sure that we have form alignment. We also had to tighten up our processes, because sometimes food and nutrition services will be told that a child has anaphylaxis allergies, but the health suite may not be told, because it just doesn't cross everyone's mind to tell both parties. So what we've established is a relationship between food and nutrition services as well as health suite services. So whoever gets the information coordinates with one another to make sure everyone has the information. We don't assume that one party knows versus another. We've also made sure that the forms are easy to complete, and we decreased the amount of forms that we've had, because we didn't want parents to be burdened with having to get us multiple forms in order for their children to eat. Next slide, please. The engagement plan. So this is a tier 1 policy revision. So far, we have met with charter-led operators, PCAB, principal advisory group. If we go to the next slide, I can go through the feedback of everyone we met with, as well as the timeline to meet with others. So we met with principal advisory group on 114, met with charter-led operators on 123, met with shared the draft with PCAB. We did not do a presentation for them. And City Schools Equity Advisory Council, I'll be presenting to them on 3-4 before we make it to second reader. Next slide. The feedback from PCAB was, how does board policy JLCDB govern allergen exposure in school activities like field trips or classroom parties where food and nutrition services are not involved? And under this board policy, information about a student's allergy is shared school-wide, so it's not just the health suite knowing, so that teachers and coaches are aware as well. PCAB also wants to know, how will city schools ensure that the information about anaphylaxis is shared with families with limited English proficiency or limited digital access? So the information is on City Schools website, where it can be translated into many languages. Information about it is also included in the family guide that goes out to families. Next slide. In addition, PCAB wanted to know, they recommended clarifying whether city schools will prioritize stocking the nasal epinephrine. And again, we're not going to stock nasal epinephrine for that 66-pound reason, as well as how does city schools ensure a minimum number of adults are trained to administer epinephrine. Each school currently has to identify at least 2 members of the school community who are not the health suite staff who can respond to emergencies, including CPR and the administration of emergency medications. Next slide. For the principal advisory group, they wanted to know, will younger students be able to carry their own allergy medication? Currently, our policy is that if a doctor's office and the parent is in agreement with little Mikey carrying his meds, little Mikey gets to carry his meds. Is the section on the medication administration form that they sign off on, saying that this student can self-administer. So none of us have to make that decision for that family. They also asked, how can epinephrine be made more accessible in school buildings in cases of emergency? I was able to inform them that we are exploring opportunities to store epinephrine as well as Narcan with our AEDs, because we have a mandate by the state to make sure it is more accessible in school buildings rather than how it's currently stored in a school health suite. The charter and operator-led school advisory board did not have any concerns when I presented to them. Next slide, please. So tonight is first reader, and I will be back before you all March 17th for second reader.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pate. And I know our chair of policy. She's actually online this evening, but we had an opportunity to review this policy in the policy committee in December. And appreciate the opportunity to really engage around the importance of updating the policy and the importance of this for critical life-saving measures that have to be taken for children. Are there any questions from our board colleagues or comments from board colleagues this evening? Commissioner?
There you go, a couple of questions real quick. And because a lot of my questions still are along the line of some of the community organizations that you spoke with, that you shared with. This is a complex system of communication that has to go on. I mean, and so does this policy expand our communication capabilities beyond what we have now? Because, I mean, example, you did talk about the coaches and that very rarely moves from the health suite and so how do we ensure that people know the need? We also talked about the multilingual families. How is it communicated to them of the capabilities? And so I didn't know whether that should be part of the policy, our communication plan should be a part of the implementation or a part of how we communicate this, because a lot of things in the health related region kind of, happens and they say, this is the way it's supposed to be. And you don't hear it again until it isn't the way it's supposed to be and say, well, we said that's the way it's supposed to be. You understand?
So I will say in relation to anaphylactic allergy and response, this is not something that is a surprise to anyone when it happens. I will say our families are very great at making sure that their children are protected when their allergy is this severe. So I will agree with you that there are times where there are things where it's after the fact that it happened that we're like, oh, why did no one know? I will tell you the most calls I get, especially when like a change is happening within a school, is from our families who their children have anaphylactic allergies, and they want to meet and know what the plan is to respond to their child because they'll die.
And I'm just last question, because it does, I don't, and with the risk of sounding like Ebenezer Scrooge, I know we get the epi at no cost.
At no cost.
At no cost. Now, if we have to make moves into the nasal application, will that be a different cost line?
So that would be why we wouldn't move to nasal, in
Okay.
addition to having to figure out if the child is big enough to have the nasal. Because the child has to be 66 pounds or more.
And it's a difference in cost, is what you're saying. There is a cost to that.
Right now it's brand new, so yeah, it definitely would cost us to get.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I think that's an important question. I appreciate you looking that up. Additional questions or comments this evening from board colleagues? Hearing none, I want to thank Dr. Pate for tonight's presentation. We look forward to seeing the policy back on second reader for a vote coming up soon.
And I'd just like to add my thanks to Dr. Pate for her continued leadership. I know this policy is narrow, but I do want to bring it to the board's attention that because of Dr. Pate's work, the expansion of our school-based health is light years beyond what it was years ago. Her ability to navigate both the state and local health context has made this possible. So I know she testified tonight on this one narrow band, but I think she really is a jewel and want to thank her just for her continued leadership. Thank you, Dr. Pate.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And our families thank you too. This takes us to the end of our agenda this evening. Very short. A couple of meetings I just want to put on everybody's radar. So we have operations, and I can't believe we're all already looking at the end of February. The month is flying by, the year is flying by. But coming up next week on Tuesday, we have both the operations committee meeting in the morning. Policy committee meeting will be late in the afternoon at 4 p.m. We also will be having the board strategic planning meeting, which is virtual. We meet in closed session for that on February 26th. And then our next public board meeting will be back on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. I'd like to thank all of my board colleagues, as well as the public, our staff here at Baltimore City Public Schools, and our family for joining us this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll take, oh gosh, I get all the motion. I'll take vice chair on the first. I'll take Slater Harrington on the second. All in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Good night.